All right, good morning, everyone. I am Candy Martin with Martin Business Solution. I want to thank you for joining me on this Small Business Saturday 2024. And on today, we are going to get into wrapping up the year for our tax planning. I mean, I think I blinked and 2024 about to end. I promise it just started. All right, so I really remember doing this class like just yesterday. So I do this every year on Small Business Saturday. If my schedule permits, well, I talk to small business owners about some of the tax planning options. And so I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm going to go through all of that. So let me just kind of pull up what we're going to go over today so you can have an overview kind of what to expect. All right. All right, so I understand today we have some people that's been in business a very long time. We have some people who have been in business, out of business, working full time, haven't figured it out. And then we have some that are thinking about starting a business, brave you to join us in this crazy world of entrepreneurship. And then we have some that are thinking about it, haven't really quite made their mind up. And so what I am attempting to do today is kind of go from beginning to middle to full-fledged entrepreneurship. So at any point you have a question, you can put those in the chat. I will address those at the end for the Q&A session. And then we will also stop the recording right before Q&A, and then you'll be able to unmute yourself and ask your question as well, whatever you prefer. So on today, we're going to talk about business model. What type of business should you start? What type of entity? Should you be an LLC? Should you have an S corp? And all those things. Then we're going to talk about the IRS, making sure that we, cross our T's and dot our I's there. We're going to also talk about the Corporate Transparency Act. And I pray that you all help get the word out because this is a real tax law that has been implemented, and the beneficial owner info. And so we're going to talk about how to do that. I even have a short video on how to fill it out. Planning versus preparation. What is the difference between tax planning and tax preparation? And for small business owners, that really makes a big difference. It matters if if you're filing your individual personal taxes as well, but even more so for small business owners. We're going to talk about deductions, which is probably the main reason you guys jumped on. I mean, it's no secret. We all want to know how to save money and to give Uncle Sam less as possible. I am all for that. So in order to do that, we have to claim the proper deductions in the proper manner and find a tax shelter. So we're going to talk about a few tax strategies as well, things that you can do to implement in your business to help reduce tax liability, to maximize all the credits and deductions that you are truly entitled to. Oftentimes, small business owners, we're busy. We don't have time to figure all that out. And so sometimes we leave money on the table. So we're going to talk about some tax strategies. We're going to talk about our favorite thing to do, and that's pay taxes. No. Well, our least favorite thing to do is paying taxes. So we're going to talk about the purpose of it, and how to make that painless. We're going to also talk about audits. Oftentimes I meet small business owners who have been referred to me from somewhere else because they had started a business and just kind of made a mess of it. Hey, that's what we do. We learn, how they say we open our parachute on the way down. That's what we do. So what happens when you get in that situation? We'll talk about how to navigate an audit. And then I'm going to share some resources with you that Martin Business Solution has to offer. All right, so I'm going to play a short video just so that you know a little bit about who I am and what I am, what I've been doing over the last 20, 25, 26 years. And so I decided to share the video, even though I have clients all over the US, Texas, California. I'm not gonna get into all the states, Florida. I'm here in Louisiana. And so I'm gonna show this video. So in case someone is local to me, you know where to find me. All right. And so right after this video, we'll get into all of those things that I just showed you on the previous slide. With Martin Business Solution here on the North Shore. In my business, we do a lot of financial planning, dealing with a lot of financial products and services. But one of the things I love to do most is do financial education. And so I am so proud of the award that I recently won. In the month of August, I gave away 1,648 books. And so came in first place. So I'm super excited about that because that means 1,600 families have been positively impacted by financial literacy. One of the advantages of Martin Business Solution, we're able to reach our clients nationwide, particularly here in Louisiana, of course. However, having the flexibility to be able to meet someone in person, on demand, as needed, without the high cost of overhead that would just be useless space for me, I figured Palette would be a perfect match. I could meet my client in person in a safe space, in a professional setting as well. Being a founding member of Palette, I'm going to have an opportunity to share my expertise with the other founders and their clients and the community by offering free financial literacy workshops, and to have the opportunity to share with the community is something that I'm very, very passionate about, and I appreciate Palette in advance for offering the opportunity for me to do that. And so I look forward to seeing you in one of those workshops. All right. So I am seeing you in one of those workshops. So thank you for joining us here on this morning. All right. So get your pen and paper out, or you get ready to take notes. All right. Let me turn my camera back on. All right. So I know this is teeny tiny. Don't worry. I am going to blow that up. All right, so on this first slide, like I said, I don't want to assume anybody knows anything. And so I'm going to kind of go to the basics, and then we'll just graduate in through this entire thing. And some of you may have seen this before if you've been on some of my other classes. So just bear with me. I know you're bursting with joy to see it again. All right, so when you're starting a business, or if you've already started a business, don't forget you can always edit how you are set up. I like to do this in, this time of the year because this gives business owners a chance to make some correction prior to December 31st. Because remember, on January 1, there are no changes. You have to file it according to however you did it in 24. So anytime we do it now, we have time to change things, we have time to add, take away, reassign, or whatever you need to do, you have time to do that. All right, so I'm gonna go over some of these in a little more detail than others. I'm just not gonna read all, read all of this. You're more than welcome to take a picture of it, and you wanna go back and read the fine print. But anyway, so types of business, sole proprietor, it just simply means that, hey, you are doing something that earns income, but not necessarily full-fledged business. So for example, if you, let's say, make cookies, I don't know, let's talk about food, one of my favorite things. So let's say you make cookies and you bake them and you bring them to an event and you sell them at church, or, at an event, little farmer's market, and you're just doing it because it's something you love to do, possibly. Or you may just need a few extra dollars and you know how to do this certain thing. You make a few dollars, you exchange the goods or services, and that's it. No fanfare. Well, when you file your tax return, you can actually claim this income, which you should, you're supposed to, but you can also take all of the expenses that you incurred. So the cookie dough, the wrapping to put the cookies in, the vendor booth, all of those things, the internet that you had to use to take the pictures, on your phone, all of those things you do get to write off. So that is one of the advantages of being a sole proprietor. You don't necessarily have to deal with all that tax stuff for businesses, but you do get to earn the income. However, you take full responsibility. There is no separation between you and the business. Anything goes on with the business, somebody eat one of those cookies and Lord forbid get sick, food poisoning, you are open season for a lawsuit. So that is the downside to it. Partnership, one of my least favorite business types. I'm just going to be very transparent, very honest with you guys, and I may be biased, but this is my workshop. So I don't like partnerships. So let me tell you why, but there are some advantages to it. Partnerships are, just like that unhappy married couple, we all know one. I'm happily married, but we all know one. Um, they they start off great, everything's going fine. This person is gonna stay at home and keep the house and clean, and this person is gonna go work full time and pay all the bills. It sounds like a great arrangement, right? Until. And so when you have a partnership, you guys are splitting everything 50-50, whether you're taking so when you fill out the paperwork, somebody says, well, I'm gonna be 70 and you're gonna be 30. Well, technically, it's a partnership. It really is truly 50-50, regardless of how you split the income. And what I mean by that is, let's say one of the partners decides, you know what, they're gonna go rack up a bunch of credit card debt in the business name. And then a year later, they decide, you know what, I don't really want to do this business, and they leave. Well, the remaining partner is responsible for all of the debt that was left to the business. Doesn't sound too fair. So what I prefer would be for two individual businesses to come to a partnership agreement, meaning for my good friend there in Denver, hey Marlene. So let's say me and Marlene are gonna be partners on this cookie company. She's gonna bake all the cookies and I'm gonna go sell them. Sound like a great plan, right? So I decide to go out and get all the credit card debt, leave Marlene baking the cookies and the debt. So that doesn't sound very fair. So what happens is in the partnership, I would rather that me and Marlene come to an agreement. Hey, Marlene, I arranged for you to sell these cookies at this vendor shop. She brings her cookies. I pay the vendor fee. At the end of the day, we settle up with one another. She get her portion, I get my portion, and we go our separate ways. That is much better. Take it from me, I've been in this industry 25 years. I have yet to this day seen one partnership, maybe just one, maybe two, that have really succeeded. They do better when they're two individual businesses and they work together and collaborate on events. Corporations, I'm going to come back to that one. I kind of want to scroll down to limited liability company. That is the most common, and it's my favorite. And as you can see, I have favorites among these entity types. So an LLC allows you the flexibility to maintain control, have all the upside as far as earning income because there's no cap. And then you also get to have all of the deduction. But my favorite thing about an LLC is separates you from the business. So in case of, remember we talked about earlier, as a sole proprietor, somebody gets sick off of eating your cookies, you're on the hook. But let's say it happens, Lord forbid, and we're an LLC. Marlene made these cookies and one of them made somebody sick. I don't know what she put in that particular cookie, but somebody got sick. So now, because we're properly protected with our general liability insurance, which I'll talk about later, Marlene is not personally on the hook. Her home is safe, but the business does now have to settle this matter. And so those are some of the reasons why I would say do an LLC over a sole proprietor is because of the protection that you have. There's a one that we don't hear a lot about, a family limited partnership. Now, I do like that better than the partnership that we talked about earlier. However, there's two words in there, family and partnership. So you remember what I said about partnership, right? So now you mix that with family. Okay, we don't even have to discuss anything else about that. All right, so let's talk about S corp, which I get a lot of calls and texts and emails. Hey, I was on social media and I saw that this guru off in New England said that I should have a S corp. So I'm going to save that conversation for a little down the line. I have a particular section dedicated to the S corp versus the corporation. And at any time, like I'll probably mention throughout this workshop, if there's something that you want more understanding about, on that same website where you registered, you can also schedule a one-on-one consultation at no cost. It'll say general appointments or something like that. You can go right there, schedule it and say, hey, look, this is what I have and this is what I'm thinking. And I would love to help you with that because I would rather help you prior to being in a situation that you'd rather not. All right. All right, so getting into more of the interworkings of having a business. Some of you may already know all these things I'm about to say, but like I said, I don't want to assume anybody knows anything. Then I want to be able to offer clarity, and then you may develop a question for your Q&A session that we're going to have later. So first off, I'm going to go here. Uh, all right, screen sharing is working great. That's awesome. So here are we at the IRS website. Beware when you are new to business or even been in business a while, do not fall for scam sites. You definitely want to go to irs.gov. There is no alternative site. The IRS doesn't call you. I wish they would because I'm usually on hold 3 hours when I need to talk to them. So they do not call. They will send you a letter, and if there is a time to do a phone call, they will arrange it with you. So oftentimes I tell business owners that because like we'll learn later on when it comes to taxes, we don't always do things in a timely manner. And so we're figuring at some point the IRS is going to be reaching out to us to take care of something. Or if we just didn't get something filed properly and we're reaching out, beware of scams, but definitely make sure that you go to irs.gov. I just can't stress that enough. But on the IRS website, there's an entire hub dedicated to small businesses, okay? And here you can get your EIN, set a business account, talk about business taxes. I'm just gonna kind of scroll it a little bit. It talks about starting a business if you're self-employed, industry professionals, how to close a business, which is something that's very important. I'm going to mention that a little later on too, when we talk about the beneficial owner information, the BOI that everybody's talking about. We're going to talk about closing a business, how to operate a business. And look, guess what? All of these things are free, no cost, right here. It just takes a little reading. And I'll be honest, the IRS doesn't write the sexiest literature. So sometimes it could be a little boring, but everything that you need is here. Talks about, how to get an EIN and how to do all of the things you need to do with your business. They have videos, they have, they even have webinars. And so I'm gonna just scroll it one more time, just so that you can see, if you're looking here on this side tab, you can see what all is included here. But just simply go to irs.gov and type in business on the search bar, or you can type in /business, and this will pop up here for you. It is all here. All right. Another thing, once you're starting in your business, and it may even be when you're doing things personally, at some point, if you have to reach out to the IRS, you're going to need to get an ID.me account. Eventually, this will be the only way that you're able to access your IRS portal, like your business tax returns and things like that. So I want to show you the official site, what it looks like. Is ID.me. And on here, this is where you establish your identity as an individual. So I know we're talking about business taxes, but at some point you may need to log in to your IRS website. And in order to do that, you will need to have already had your identity verified. So, and then this is also good to know for personal taxes too as well, in case you need to do something with your personal taxes. And you get ready to log in. And some people, depending on your job, if you're still working, if you have certain government job, even some nursing jobs, you do need your ID.me account. So this is where you would go, simply id.me.com, beware of any scams. And on here, it'll walk you through the process of verifying your identity so that when you go on to websites like the IRS and you need to access confidential information, you've already verified. So many business owners I've seen over the years, they'll need to get something corrected, and then we have to spend 2 or 3 weeks trying to get verified in the system. So make sure that you go ahead and knock this out and get this taken care of. All right. Go back here one more time. So this is, let me go back. I did that kind of fast. All right. So also, as we saw when we were getting ready to apply for EIN, we saw all the different interworkings that the IRS have for small businesses. So now I'm going to take you to another component of the IRS website. Here, once you're here, when you click on business and you want to kind of get through some of it and see what all you can do, this is where, like I said, where we already talked about the EIN, but your employment taxes, estimated taxes that you have to pay if you want to pay them early. Let's see, move this out of my way. For those that do business outside of the United States, we have your foreign account. So if you're doing international or global business, you will also need to have access to this as well. And here's another cool thing. Right here on the IRS website, there's also, they give education on what type of business to set up. They have sole proprietorship, partnerships again, and then they just talk about the different interworkings. So if you click on any one of these tabs, they'll do the same thing like what we just discussed. It'll go through each entity type. So if you have someone that's thinking about starting a business, or if you've already started a business and you're thinking, you know what, I may need to change how I am set up, you can go here and learn about it and also go through making the changes as well. And like I said, if you needed to do a session, I'd be more than glad to talk to you about that. Now, I did not include details about the state because like I'm here in Louisiana and we have people from different parts of the US. We have Florida, Denver, I know, we have Dallas, Texas. So I did not put specifics about your state, but I do want you to go to your Secretary of State page. So when you have a small business, you want to go to your state Secretary of State. So if you're in Louisiana, you'll just go to the Louisiana Department, the Louisiana Secretary of State page, and there you will find all of what you need to make sure that you're in compliance with your state, with your industry for your business. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about that too, about how to set those taxes up further in the presentation. All right, so really quick, I want to talk about the Corporate Transparency Act, which is something that is urgent, is very important because the deadline to do this is December 31st. So if you already have an EIN and you got it and you started your business before January 1, 2024, your deadline to file your BOI, which I'm going to talk a little bit about, you have until December 31st of this year to file it. If you started your business January 1 of 2024, you have 90 days. So that means if you started a business this year in February, you have 90 days from February the 1st when you got your EIN to file the BOI report. If you started your business January 1 of 1983, you have until December of this year to file your BOI report. If you started your business last week, you have 90 days to file it, okay? Just making sure that everybody kind of got the understanding of that. So I'm going to read the definition here. Existing companies, reporting companies created or registered to do business in the United States before January 1 must file by January 1, 2025. Newly registered, meaning this year, you have 90 calendar days to file after receiving your actual or public notice that their company creation or registration is effective. Okay. On my website, which I'll show you later, I actually have a YouTube video. I'm not going to play it now, but I have a YouTube video of full start to finish about the Corporate Transparency Act. It's about 40 minutes long. So you can go to my YouTube channel and I'll show you how to find all that a little later. But you can get the full details of what is the Corporate Transparency Act. So because of the Corporate Transparency Act, we have to fill out what's called the beneficial owner info form. Now, I am going to play a video for this. I did a full-fledged, you'll find that I did a full-fledged video as well on YouTube, but I am going to play this video from FinCEN. So FinCEN, they are the department that makes sure that business owners, and what you'll learn, are not money laundering, that we are not, taking money from the mafia, putting it in our business account, and, I know that's sound like something out of a movie, but it's actual. It does happen, money laundering does happen. And so the federal government put things in place to make sure that we as business owners aren't helping people to do that. And so that's what brought all this about. Let me go back one slide. So the Corporate Transparency Act was the law that was put in place that says, hey, all business owners must disclose who they are and a little bit about their business. And I know it seems redundant because we just did that when we got our EIN. Well, the EIN is through the IRS and your state. The Corporate Transparency Act actually goes to FinCEN, which is the department that follow those that do financial crime. Okay. All right, so that's part of the reason as to why we're having to do this. I was like, well, why don't they just pull my registration? Well, it's not that they don't talk to each other like that. So, so I'm gonna play this short video for you.
Hello, I am with the U.S. Treasury Department Bureau called the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN. You may have heard about this new anti-money laundering law, the Corporate Transparency Act, that requires many companies doing business in the United States to report information to the U.S. government about the real people who own or control them. Today I'm going to show you how I would file a beneficial ownership information report. I'm going to start with the website fincen.gov/BOI. On the website, I can see some information that will help me determine if I need to file and what types of information I would need to provide. Let's say I'm an owner of a small business, ABC Inc., that I recently formed with my Secretary of State. I've reviewed the small business resources on FinCEN's website and determined that my company is not exempt from reporting, so I will click here and file a report. The Beneficial Ownership Information Report, and today I'm going to select the option to file online using the web form. In the future, I may need to update or correct the BOI that I filed, so I can do that here by selecting the different options. Since this is my first time filing, I'm going to select Initial Report and then click Next. First, I'm going to enter the name of my company, ABC Inc. I don't have any alternative or DBA names, so I'm going to skip this field and then enter my number here. I formed this company here in the US, so I don't need to select anything here, but I will select the United States in field 10. I filed my paperwork in the state of Virginia, so I'll select Virginia and then enter the address, city, state, and zip. Next, I'll enter information about the company applicant. This is the person that actually filed my company formation information with the Secretary of State. The person that filed for my company is my tax accountant, so I'll be entering information here. I will enter last name, first name, date of birth, and business address. This form also requires the identification type, number, and where the document was issued from and a picture of the ID. I will need to provide an image of the ID, so I'm going to click on Choose Folder and select Image and select Open. No other person was involved in the filing of the document that created my company, so I don't need to add any more company applicants. At most, 2 people may be reported as company applicants, and only companies that were created or registered in 2024 or later need to report company applicants. Finally, I'll move to the beneficial owner information part. Since I own this company, I'm going to enter my last name, first name, date of birth, and address. Similar to before, enter the identifying document number, and upload an image. Because I am the only beneficial owner, that's all I have to do here, but if I had more beneficial owners, I would need to go up and click this button, Add a Beneficial Owner. Now that I'm on the last page, I'll enter my email, my first and last name, because I am submitting the report to FinCEN. Now I'll click here to certify that I am filing this beneficial ownership information report on behalf of the reporting company and that the information I provided is true, correct, and complete. And then I will select the CAPTCHA checkbox and prove that I am human. Ready to submit. It will take a few moments for the submission to go through, and now I see the confirmation page. It's important for me to download and save a copy for records in case you need to refer to them again or if any problems or issues occur. And that completes the filing of the beneficial ownership information report.
Hang on one second. I am going to reshare. So, very important thing that I do want to mention about the video that we just watched. Make sure that you are on the right website. It does not cost anything to fill that out. Did you all see her put any credit card information in? It's totally free. Also make sure that you go to, when you go to the website, that you're doing .gov, not .org. Because .org does seem official, but it is not the correct website. So make sure, let me go to, hold on, let me go back to it just for a second. Hold on. Go back to it just for
This beneficial ownership information report on behalf.
I want to make sure that you guys get the right, oh, there we go. So FinCEN, oh. All right, so FinCEN.gov. Make sure that everybody gets it. All right. All right, as you can tell, I really want to make sure that you guys get to the right website. Hopefully you took a picture of it or wrote it down. Make sure that it's .gov. As I mentioned, that it does not cost anything to fill it out. It took her whatever bit of maybe 4 or 5 minutes to fill it out. I have heard some horror stories. I had a few people to call me after they've paid. I had one client, she paid someone $1,200 to fill that out for her. So we are, so it's, as business owners, when we don't know things, it's just unfortunate. People do take advantage and exploit. And I'm sure that's no different that if it was a personal matter. We hear about scams all the time. And I'm not policing how much someone should charge to do that if maybe that person felt that the time was valuable to charge somebody $1,200 to do that. However, on average, maybe about 125, maybe 150 if someone wanted to charge you to do that. But also on my website, I'll show you later, I have a full video as well as this video on how to fill it out. So you can go back later and watch it and make sure that you get it completed. And like I said, not taking anything away from someone charging to do that because it's their time. And it's their time. And then I want you all to feel that same way too. It's your time. And if you feel that your time is worth a certain thing, then by all means, do what you need to do. I do teach a class on marketing, and in that marketing class, we talk about pricing. So be on the lookout for that class upcoming as well. I don't know how I got on that part, but just wanted to make sure. And even though I'm talking about taxes, I am going to talk about business. I have been a business advisor for the last 25 years, so it does just kind of comes out. All right, so tax planning versus tax preparation. So as business owners, even though we're individuals and we have our individual taxes, some of these same things apply both, whether it's a business or if it's personal. And so some of the things you'll hear do cross over, whether it's for your personal taxes or for your business, because it's sort of kind of the same thing. The business does take on ownership as its own person. So the habit of tax preparation is we get our documents at the end of the year and we haul it all off to our CPA or our tax preparer. We drop it off and we go back and we pick up this paper and it tells us, oh, we're getting a refund of $5,000 or you owe $5,000 or whatever the case may be. We go and take care of that and we're back to doing business as usual. That is not tax planning. That's just basically tax preparation. That is the end result of what should have taken prior to. All right. So develop a tax strategy is where you want to get into tax planning. And hopefully that's what we get to do some of today. Or after today, you'll say, you know what, let me make sure that I have a strong, solid tax plan. So in tax planning is what I want to do for the remainder of today is just kind of help you plan. And when you do tax planning, let me back up really quick. You can do this on your own. You do not need, and hey, I make a nice portion of my income comes from tax preparation and tax planning. So by no means am I saying don't pay somebody. By all means, pay somebody. But I do have to disclose tax preparation is something that you can do yourself. Simply go to the IRS website, read all that wonderful literature, come back and pray that it gets filed correctly. Or you can invest in yourself and in your company and hire a tax professional that have been through the interworkings. And I'm not advocating for myself. Any tax professional that you deem that you trust, that has integrity, that you feel like will hear you and help you plan according to your vision for your business or individual. So you want to make sure that you're picking someone that is looking at your entire situation and not just trying to prepare some end of the year document to charge you a fee of $900 and then they're gone. You want a tax professional that is looking at your entire situation, everything, so that whatever you prepare in that tax return will reflect the growth of your business and where you're going. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So when you're developing a tax strategy, what you want to know is, what is my desired goal for my company? I know where I am today because prayerfully you've been doing bookkeeping all year and you have your profit and loss statements, you know where you stand. If not, I have a class for that too. But you want to know where you stand and this is where I am. And you can look at it and you should be able to tell, oh my gosh, I'm going to owe a lot in taxes. What did I not do to find some tax shelter? You know, where are my tax shelters? What are some of the things I can claim on my business? And that's going to be in our next slide. We're going to go over some deductions. So when you're doing tax strategy, it's not only finding deductions, it's also making sure that all I's are dotted, all T's are crossed, making sure that you have the right paperwork filed, you have the right entity type, as we discussed earlier. Should I be a sole proprietor or should I be an S corp? Should I be, where should I be in all this? And having a tax strategy is also going to help you make sure that you're planning properly, that your taxes are being paid on time. And I know a lot of times people think, well, I just started, I'm selling cookies, and I don't make a whole lot of money. Last year I made $1,500. What do I need a tax strategy for? Unless you want to just keep this as a hobby, a paid hobby, and not necessarily a full-fledged business, you may not necessarily need a tax strategy. But if you're thinking, hey, I want to make sure that I have all my I's dotted, all my T's crossed, that I'm taking, my cookie business is booming. I'm about to get into manufacturing, or I'm going to be in all the local grocery stores. If you're thinking that way, then your taxes need to be set up that way. Another thing about developing a tax strategy is, what about as a business owner, what about my retirement? What about, the income that gets reported to Social Security? Don't forget that every year when you file taxes, that income goes to Social Security, so that when you're ready to retire and draw your Social Security, because remember, small business owners, you do get to have Social Security as well. I know a lot of times we don't think that. We think you have to work for a corporation to get it. No. When you do that, the Social Security is going to add up your highest gross in 10 years, and they're going to come up with an average. And they're going to say, you know what, because of these 10 years, this block here, we're going to pay her $1,500 a month. Well, if you've been taking a loss for 3 or 4 years, 5 or 6 years, or 10 years, you got to remember that's factoring in. And I don't know if you know, but if you keep adding zero into something, it's going to be nothing added. And so a lot of times, small business owners, you wonder like, hey, this person had a business and they're drawing Social Security now, they're only getting $300 a month. Well, because when you average the highest 10 years, that was the highest average. So don't forget, as a small business owner, you want to make sure that when you are filing your taxes, that you have something in place that shows that you made a profit. And we'll talk, and that's something like I want to get this disclaimer out. I better do that now, I guess. This is a better time than ever. Make sure that you speak to your tax professional, your CPA, or your person that does your tax planning before you make any decision. This will be a great time to have that conversation. Also attorneys, your tax attorney, if you have one, this would be a great time to talk to them as well. So make sure that you're speaking to your person that is handling your taxes so that they can put this account together, your tax planning strategy for you and your business. Okay, to put that in there. But your tax strategy should also, like I said, to include your retirement. It should also include employees if you have one. What is going to be the tax structure for your employees? Are they going to be 1099s? Are they going to be W-2? All of that has to be taken into consideration. Or is it going to be a combination? Me, myself, I take a combination. My company pays me via W-2 for the admin work, but also pays me via 1099 for the service work, such as doing this class. It's free to you, but it's going to cost Martin Business Solutions because I am going to invoice them for teaching this class on their behalf. And so as a business owner, we have to have that mindset of treating this as a company we just happen to work for. Oh, and by the way, we own it. So remember I talked about when you're an LLC or a corporation, you are separate from the business. You, the individual, are separate from the actual company. So you have to remember your tax, don't forget about your taxes. Does the company pay your taxes? Are you paying into your taxes? Are you paying into your retirement? Does your company have key man policy, your insurances and all those things like that? So that's more of a breakdown for another class, but I did want to mention that part of your tax strategy should be, is there a key man life insurance policy for the business owner? All of those things play into your tax shelter. Paying your employees and having retirement account, all those things are important and should be a part of your tax strategy. When you go to get your taxes prepared and you start asking all these questions and they're like, hey, we don't do all that. We just want to prepare the taxes, charge you a fee and send you on your way. I suggest it's time to start finding someone that's going to sit down and do some tax planning, because when you're preparing your taxes, that is not the time for planning. That is the time to put the results in of the planning or the lack of planning that you did the prior year. So in January, when my clients come over, we're preparing the paperwork from whatever they did in 24. We are not making any changes. We are not doing any maneuvering and trying to find the proper words. We're not, there's no fixing anything. We are simply preparing what we've already done. So now is the time to take action. We got 30 days. Come on, people, we can do this. Meet with your professional. Say, hey, what do I need to do to find tax shelters to reduce my tax liability? And what do I need to do to make sure that my company is taking full advantage of all the deductions and tax credit that we are righteously deserving of? And don't forget, certain industries have tax credit. So for example, if you're in tech, there are some tax credit for those that are in the tech industry. If you are in childcare, there are things specific for your industry, and you would want to make sure that your business is taking full advantage of that. And that's for all industries. Every industry has its thing. And also the last part of this slide I want to talk about is tax mindset. Nobody likes paying taxes. I know I don't. However, if you structure it right, and this may have to, take the marketing class to see this, but if you set it up correctly and you're putting your income in and you're actually looking at it and you have your budget and you have your financial projections done and all, your tax strategy is rolling and your business, I don't care if you're making $100 or $100,000, this works the same for everyone. You can actually make enough profit to where your business takes care of itself and it pays its taxes. Paying taxes means you made enough money to take care of the business, to take care of you, to do the things to move your business forward. And now you're just paying your fair share. I said fair share of taxes. You're not overpaying. When the business constantly get refunds, that means the business is taking a loss, the business is not growing, and the business is not profitable, and it is not attractive to investors or bankers or financial people that may would give you some funding. We talk about that in our business credit 101 class about getting funding. And oftentimes businesses can have everything in a row, except they don't pay taxes and they don't show a profit. So we want to think about it. Am I going to save these few pennies by not paying taxes, or am I going to pay my fair share and then come back later and get those dollars? All right. So this is something to think about. And that's usually, first year business owners, not expecting you to have a boatload of taxes to pay, but if your business is growing and it's profitable and it's worth your time to be investing into this business, you should reap the rewards that come with it. And the trade-off, of course, is paying taxes, but there's a greater reward if you're paying into taxes, such as your state. They have different programs where they do financing for businesses, and they give you certain things if you're paying taxes. So you want to make sure that you pay your taxes, okay? All right. Let's go to our next slide. Hang on 1 second here. Let me pull up. All right. So these are some of the tax deductions or tax credits that we're gonna discuss here. Now, this is, the what they say the fun part. Save me some money. All right, so let's get into that. All right, so attending networking events, going to different fundraisers and functions and things of that nature that grow your business, conferences, continued education, those type of events are tax deductible, and they should be on your tax return spelled out. Hey, if you are a come on, Marlene, we in this cookie business. We're just gonna keep rolling with it. I don't know. Got to start making some cookies. So, all right. So Marlene goes to the National Cookie Baking Association annual conference. Okay. She has to fly from Denver all the way to Florida for 3 days. Yeah, she's gonna go to Florida. She's gonna stay focused. So while she's down there, she's gonna go to this 2-3 day workshop. But on day 3, she decides, you know what? Why come all the way to Florida and not go to the beach? All right. So Marlene goes to the beach, but she has to rent a car to go there. And then she goes out there and she decides she wants to eat. She wants to sunbathe. She goes buy the bathing suit. She just started doing a whole bunch of other things that have nothing to do with this conference. So what happened to all of those things? So Marlene has to find a way to tie that into what she did. And this is kind of going over into our travel expenses too as well, because it's a combination of the networking and training and continued education and travel expenses. So the way that works, the ticket that she purchased to get there and the ticket that she purchased to get back, we all know that's a given, that's tax deductible, the hotel, the conference registration fee, any of the things that you had to have to go to the conference. Like they may say, hey, you got to have a laptop. Okay, well, she didn't have one, so you go buy the laptop. All of those things start to play into tax deductions, okay? Not that she bought the blue blazer to go because she just wanted a blue blazer. That is not deductible, but the computer is, okay? So if it's not required for you to attend the conference, it is not tax deductible. Okay, I'm sorry to rain on your parade, especially ladies. I know we gotta have a new outfit for the conference, but if it's not if you're not going for a fashion show where you're gonna walk this runway, it's not deductible, okay? All right, so while she's there, she's taking phone calls, she's talking to clients. So what she could do while she's at the beach, she can take that time to make some calls to her client, to upload some information to their portal about their cookie order. She can do all that while she's there, and then she can take the remaining time to have what's called mental recuperation and have a little fun. So you didn't hear from me. Just take, read between, do what you got to do. And it can't be that she spent 3 days on the beach and 1 day at the conference. Now, I said this was day 3, and she took a couple of hours and she went to the beach. Okay. All right. If you notice, a lot of conferences are on Friday, Saturday. Notice why? Because if you take it on a Friday and you fly out on Monday, everything that happens in between, tax deductible because you had to eat. So, when you have a conference and it's Friday, Saturday, fly out on Monday. All right. All right. So also under travel expenses, if let's say you have a board of advisors. Board of advisors are just people that you don't pay. Well, yeah, you don't pay your board of advisors in most cases, in very rare cases, but the board of advisors give you advice. And you are scheduled to meet at least once a year, or every month, or, just something, you're doing something and they're advising you on your business. And now you decide that you want to show your appreciation to this board of advisors and you take them on a cruise. Okay. All right. So on that cruise, you have meetings, you have minutes, you have activities for team building because you want them to get along and all those sort of things. That is a very fine line. So make sure that everything is documented. I dotted T's crossed. Your board of advisors don't all have to be strangers. They can be some family members. Okay. All right. So I've given you that part. So make sure for your travel expenses that at some point that the business is conducted, whether it's from business to client or from business to business or internally, there's some sort of business happening on this travel. All right. Marketing, tax deductible. That $5 ad you took on Facebook, tax write-off. Sending out postcards to your client to say Happy Christmas, or is it Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas? All right. So those postcards are tax deductible. The email campaign that you pay for, the internet that you use to send the emails is tax deductible. Your marketing, you want to do a photo shoot so that you can upgrade your photos on your website. That is all part of marketing, all tax deductible. Your client, if you're a realtor and when the person buys the home, you give them the nice gift basket. Realtors give some really nice gift baskets. But anyway, so they give the gift basket, okay? I know they pay like $200-300 for these things. And that's marketing, that's advertising, that's saying client appreciation, that's saying, hey, think of me next time. So that's all part of your marketing dollars. Those are tax deductible. Make sure that you use those. Home-based business. I saw that I skipped review the list. We'll do that last. Home-based businesses. So the way that you determine if you qualify for home-based business, do you have a dedicated area that's just for business? Not your kitchen table where you eat. That is not considered home-based business. It could be a closet. And nobody said it had to be huge. It could be one of the bedrooms that you converted into, like I've seen some that have the online clothing boutique. They've taken a bedroom and they put the racks in, hang the clothes up, all of that. And they have a desk in there so that they can put the orders out. that is home base. If you have a portion of the home that is sectioned off, and section off doesn't mean it has to have a wall, you can have a partition. Whatever that you can verify that it is sectioned off, if it's if you have an open concept home, because most homes do now, if you have a section off area that this perimeter is used just for the business, that is considered your home-based office space. You need to have the square footage of that and also the total square footage of your entire home to fill out the form, and that's Form 8829 for home-based business. And when you're filling that form out, it's going to ask square footage of the entire home, square footage of the space that you use to conduct the business. And this also works if you rent. So a lot of times when you hear home base, people think, okay, I have to own the home. Well, if you're renting an apartment, you're in a condo, whatever your home situation is, this is not just for homeowners. The square footage of the unit that you're renting, plus the square footage of the space. It can be a corner of a room. It just has to be partitioned and sectioned off and earmarked for business only, okay? And in that, there's an entire form that you get to fill out that will allow you to take a portion of your utilities and other things of that nature. And of course, all the interworkings of a home-based business, your desk, your paperclip, pen, chair, blackout curtains, whatever you needed to make that home office a home office, all of those things are tax deductible. I'm gonna go to review the list, and then we're gonna talk about hiring the kiddos, those little people that live with you. Or in some cases, the big little people that live with you that don't quite leave. So we can talk about hiring them as well. So so on my website, so if you go to our website, there's a tab at the top that says template. Okay. And if you scroll down, you'll see some handouts and some worksheets and some things of that nature. One of the best ways, and then there's all kind of checklists. I mean, I have this checklist that's about 4 pages long, but one of the best ways, if you're new to this, or if you want to just kind of go through this before you go to your tax professional, and you just kind of want to be ahead of the game, you can go here and just look at the form. It says business expenses, which is the Schedule C form. If you are an LLC or a sole proprietor, this is going to be the form that they use. Now, if you're an S Corp or a corporation, they will use a different form, but the same information. It's literally the same information. It's just on a different form. So you can use this as an example. So let me get here. Let me blow this up a little bit for my folks with those beautiful eyes. So let's pull this up a little bit. All right, so right here on this form, you see what they want. So these are the things that you want to have an answer to. Advertising, we talked about that. Car and truck expenses. Using your vehicle for your business is one of those things that is kind of inevitable. If Marlene's gonna deliver this dozen of cookies to the bake sale, she has to bake them at home, put them in our car, and drive them over there. But the car is registered to her. It's a personal car that she's had 3 years, before she started the business. So she didn't buy it through the business, which is a tax deduction, of course, if you buy a car through the business name. There's a way to do that. But let's say this is her personal car, but she's using it to deliver cookies. How do you determine that? Well, in a perfect world, she would have a mile log, like a little book or an app. I think it's Mile IQ, a lot of people use. I'm old school, so yeah, I track mine with my calendar, but hey, no judgment. Whatever you want to use, technology, but you take an earmark, that you jot down all of your miles. If you're being very meticulous, you'll do it every time you do something. But if you're like me, it's at the end of the week and I'm trying to remember, okay, where did I go? Yeah. So you'll track your mile, and that's the very first thing. You really can't claim all the other deductions that go with the car expenses if you don't even have the mile, okay? It has to be in use. So you have to have the miles, that you can claim those, and there's some other deductions that you can use for your car or, your vehicle that you use for your business. Contract labor, meaning, Marlene decided to pay me to come and help bake the cookies. I didn't want to bake them, so she enticed me by paying me, to come and cook the cookies. So at the end of the year, that's a tax deduction for her. She paid me $50. That's a tax write-off for her. She has to give me a 1099 or a W-2 if she hired me as an employee. So depending on how that went. There are insurance, and this is other than health on this form. So insurance, because remember, health insurance is for an individual, not for a business. Okay, the business doesn't have health insurance on itself. Okay, so insurance, that would be your general liability, fire insurance, Arizona Mission, any type of insurance that you can only get if you had a business. It's only for the business itself. And so all those things is for, you get to claim your insurance. Mortgage. Now here, mortgage does not mean the mortgage for a home. This is mortgage for a business. So let's say the business, even if you have rental property, this would go here if you pay a mortgage for a rental property. But mortgage meaning that this is the business, that we have a store and that we have a mortgage. So this is where this goes. Legal and professional services, tax preparation, paying a photographer to take your picture, your website fees, anything that you did, to pay for professional services, legal, an attorney, this is pretty much all legal stuff. Like if you had to have an attorney to draw up contracts or things of that nature. One thing I will say, beware of, like, you see where line 16 be where it says other? Miscellaneous and other is, I don't even know why they even put these on here. Anytime you use other and miscellaneous, red flag, do not use those, okay? Find somewhere to put it, spell it out. If it doesn't quite fit, I'm gonna show you, there's gonna be some lines where you can actually write out what it is and what the amount. Do not go with miscellaneous and other. Red flag, you got $10,000 worth of other expenses. Be more specific, please. All right, office expense, that's ink pen, paper, copy paper, pension and profit sharing plan. This is really good into the S corp component. It doesn't, a lot of times people think, well, we have an S corp, that doesn't go here. This is if an LLC or a small business owner or sole proprietor is paying into that. This is a tax write-off. So that's why I say get with your financial planner to find out what profit sharing, what pensions you can pay into that the business can pay into and be a tax deduction for you. So yeah. Rent, if you're renting a space, barbers and hairdressers often leave this off because they don't own the building. Yeah, but you're renting the space, the chair. If you rent equipment to do something for your business, if you have a lawn care business and for some reason one of your commercial mowers go out and you have to rent one, you want to put that there. Business property. If you purchase a desk, things of that nature. And business property are things that can be movable, that you can actually pick up and move, okay? Repairs and maintenance. A lot of times people forget about their computers. Anytime you have to pay to have somebody to work on your computer, that is a repair. Maintenance, if you have some type of copy machine, things of that nature, kind of think like that. A lot of the small things often get left out. More supply, taxes and license. Now, taxes and license, this is where you want to put where you pay your registration fee. And if you're a nurse and you have some sort of phlebotomy business, I don't know, whatever you're doing in that industry, keeping up your continued education, things like that, that goes here. Your travel and your meals, we talked about that. You took a company trip, you gave a company trip, you paid for meals, you purchased your own meal, all that goes there. Now, I'm going to tell you, be very, very careful on the meal, okay? So trust me. I tell my clients, write everything down, and then we can go over it to make sure that it is truly, in fact, a meal that's related to the business. If you take a client out to eat, of course, that's a meal deduction. You need to keep the receipt. You need to label what it is, scan it, save it, document it, have your document. Anytime that you're engaging in business over meal, whether that's talking to somebody about the business, you prospecting, you're talking about ideas and plans and getting feedback, you just happen to be eating, it's great. All right. Utilities, wages, of course, that's paying your employees, things of that nature. So let me kind of, how are we on time? Okay, I think we're pretty good. Just kind of scrolling down. This is where we were talking about the miles, the business miles. So when you're sharing your personal car, you would have under other, that's about the only time you can use other, or you can put it under commuting, either way. But the business miles will go here and it's gonna ask, the different questions. So here's why I was talking about spelling it out, putting what it actually happened. Do not use miscellaneous and just leave it there. Come here and spell it out. All right. All right, so the last part on this page we're going to talk about is hiring your children. I know that I get that often. So hiring your kids, there's like no real age limit, but for the sake of argument, we're going to say 7. That's usually the average when you would see age 7 or older, where you actually hire your kids into the business. When you hire your children in the business, they have to have job description. They have to be on payroll. You actually have to pay them, which means they would have to have an account set up in the child's name. Because most banks start around 13 is when they can actually have their own account. But you can still open the account of a minor. You can get with your bank, because different banks in different states have different ways to open it. So according to the state rule for banking, they may call it different things, but the pay itself has to be earmarked for the child. So you do have to pay the children. And why do that? Well, sometimes, and what most people do is, now the children can't pay they can't pay you rent. You can't pay them and then have them pay you rent, okay? But you can have your child to earn the income, they get the pay, and they pay for their own basketball training. The extracurricular activity can be paid for by the child, not necessity, not food and shelter, those things. But the children can pay for extracurricular. They want that new game? Yeah, I'm gonna get it to you for Christmas, but guess what? I'm gonna give you this stack of papers. You're gonna go and you're gonna file those, and then I'm gonna pay you at the end of the day. You can earn your video game, okay? You're gonna buy it for them anyway, so why not make them earn it and pay it? All right, that's a whole message for a whole other thing. So paying children, when the money goes into that account, it is earmarked for the children. They can save it. Guess what else the children can do with it? They can put it in a Roth IRA account. Did you know that? A 10-year-old can be putting money into an account that they can get when they're older. Isn't that a beautiful thing? So, and you have to pay them. Now, one of the questions was, what about taxes? I don't know, let me see what the chat here says. Somebody just put a question in there. Oh yeah, you would have to be joint, good question. You would have to be, some adult has to be the joint owner on this account. Because the child isn't of age enough to have their own account, but you can check with the bank. Certain banks have like different ages, but I do know, like if it's a 7-year-old, that they most likely won't have their own account. Another thing about paying your children, it's like I said, I talked about earlier when I just mentioned that make sure they have a job description and that they are doing the work. Now, also make sure that you checking with the child labor and that your child not doing something that they're not supposed to be doing. Make sure it's follow the labor laws. So you definitely may want to run that by a tax professional or by a labor attorney, okay? But children can work in the family business. Let's say the child is 4. What would a 4-year-old do with a business? So let's say, for example, you want a commercial and you hire an actor or actress to do the commercial for you. Why not your own 4-year-old or, your niece that's 4 or your grandchild that's 4? The company pays the child for their service, whatever they did in the commercial. they get the pay and follow the same rule just like anyone else. So those are things that are within reason. Filing paperwork. You got a 10-year-old that just want to help out in the family business. Give them a job title. Train them on the job of what to do. Make sure, like I said, always check with your labor laws, making sure everything is safe. And then be reasonable. Do your child know how to file paper? Do the child know how to use a stapler? So within reason, because somebody 5 may know how to do that, and somebody who's 8 may not know how to do that. You got to know, just like any other employee, hire them where they are best fit. Another rule about hiring children, taxes is one of the things that I get a lot. Like, do I have to pay taxes? If they are earning less than the standard deduction, which is about $13,000, if they're earning less than that, then no, you do not have to pay taxes if you are registered as a sole proprietor. Let's say you're an LLC or an S corp or a corporation, then yes, you don't have to pay certain taxes, but there are some taxes you will have to pay. And at that point, like I said, during the tax planning strategy, you want to talk to your tax professional. But remember, what is the goal? The child earns the money so they learn work ethic. 2, it's a savings for you because now they can pay for their video games and their tennis lessons and their swimming lessons because those are extracurricular activities, okay? And so, but they would have to earn it. And very key, you are paying them a reasonable salary. All right. If you would pay someone typically, or if the going rate in the US is $25 an hour and you paying them $73 an hour, that is not reasonable. And if the going rate is $25 and you're paying them $3.75, that is not reasonable. Labor law may be looking for you after that. So you have to pay them within reason, but you wouldn't pay them necessarily what you would pay a professional that got a certification and they've earned the pay of $25 an hour. You may want to pay them 18 or 19 or 20, something reasonable. If you're going to pay a professional with all the credentials $25, and this is a child that you trained in your home to do the same thing, of course you're not going to pay them top dollar, but you also are not going to overpay them to beat the system, and you're not going to underpay them because that's a labor law. Okay, so you're going to pay them fairly. Now, do they have to file taxes? Everybody files taxes. It's just a certain way that you have to do that at the end of the year. And trust me, this is one of the ways that helps a family move forward and build that family legacy. And if at the end of the day, all else, they learn work ethics, which I think is priceless. All right, let's see what we got next. All right, so really quick, I'm gonna go through this one kind of quick because I want to get to the Q&A session, and I want to have a little time to make sure that we cover everything. And I really appreciate you guys hanging in there. All right, so paying taxes, making sure that this is going to be kind of like a recap. You want to make sure that you are calculating the right amounts, that you're not just paying something because someone told you to pay it, but that you have a full understanding as to why you have to pay taxes or why you don't have to pay taxes. You want to make sure that whether it's your federal taxes, your state taxes, unemployment, your FICA, your, Social Security tax, whatever tax it is, you want to make sure that you understand why you're paying it and making sure that it's the right tax for your company. You want to make sure that you're paying it according to the tax rate, and you also want to make sure that you're paying your fair share. Taking losses, we kind of covered that a little bit ago about when you take losses from the business, keep in mind that that also cuts into your Social Security. It also, when you go for funding, the business doesn't show a profit, so you're less likely to get approved for funding because when you borrow money, they want to know that you can pay them back. And so on your tax return, it's going to reflect whether the business is profitable or if it's not. Also taking losses, you also want to make sure that you go back and you do a year in review and find out, hey, at least the business should maintain itself and take care of itself and pay all of its expenses, even if it doesn't have a large profit or no profit. But you want to make sure that you're not taking losses because of bookkeeping isn't being done correctly, or your inventory, or you have some employees that aren't carrying their weight. Why are you having a loss? And so when you file your taxes, one of the advantages to filing your taxes, it's going to show you the health of your business. And not just your financial health, but the health of it. Is it growing? Is it viable? Is this a company that you should continue to put money into? This is something you should continue to invest your dollars into. Is it adding up? So your tax return should tell you that. Making sure that you pay your federal taxes, and a lot of times we do that we know we got to pay the IRS, but don't forget you have to pay the state. You have state, and then you also, this is one that gets overlooked a lot, local. Meaning that here where I live in Louisiana, we have parishes. Some places may have counties. So we pay federal taxes, state taxes, and then we have parish taxes. And so a lot of business owners kind of stop at federal and state, and they forget about the local until they get this nice little letter that say, hey, you live in this parish of XYZ, and because you live in this parish, you owe this amount of taxes. And so when you skip those, they generally, you get a letter like a year later, or sometimes even longer than that, that say that, hey, you owe these parish taxes. So don't forget to check with your tax professional to make sure. Not all businesses have it, and in all industries and not all parishes and all counties. So you want to make sure. So let's say, life happened, kind of got away from you, or you were unaware of a certain tax that you owed. You may qualify for what's called an abatement. And so an abatement says, hey, I know I have this tax bill, but look, I'm starting over fresh. I have a tax professional now helping me. Can you waive some of this taxes that I owe and some of the interest and penalties? So you can ask for an abatement. Now you can't ask for one every year, but typically, the IRS, I think you can ask for one maybe every 5 years, something like that. Every state is going to have its different rule. So you can ask. So before you pay a large tax bill, see what abatement you qualify for and start over, which means you're telling them, hey, I messed it up, but now I got a fresh start and I won't have to owe going forward. And so you kind of just do it that way. All right. Next part, we're going to talk about is audit. So let's say you do get into an audit as a business owner, and this same rule applies for personal taxes as well. You want to make sure that when you're doing your tax planning and you're sitting with your tax person, and before you file your taxes, before you press that button, you want to make sure that you file your taxes as if you're an auditor. File like an auditor. What would you ask if you were auditing this tax return? And anytime you see any questions, any red flags, or any missing gaps, go ahead and fill those in, because you remember the auditors are people too, just like you. So if it was a red flag or a concern for you, or kind of wondering, chances are they may too. So when you file your taxes like an auditor, which means you have an answer for everything that you entered on there, you're good. You have proof of payment, or you have receipts, you have some sort of something to back, some document to back what you put on this tax return, then you're good. You want to make sure that you're taking resolutions when you have an audit, that you don't just, okay, I got an audit letter and I'm paying it. No, see what resolutions you can actually come up with. There is some negotiating room there. So just because you got an audit doesn't mean you have to automatically just go with it. I highly advise that you get professional assistance if you get an audit, because sometimes one decision changes something else, and then that changed that, and then the next thing you know, you just have multiple issues. So you may want to get a tax professional to make sure that, before I answer this audit, I don't put my foot in my mouth. I don't know a better way to put it. Run it by somebody so they can say, okay, this is not what that means. It means this. Because let me tell you something about tax agencies. And I don't care if they see this, I'm gonna just tell you, they are not the best in educating, because that is not their area. Their area is to enforce the tax laws and to audit. It is not to educate you. That is your responsibility. It is not their job to explain the tax code to you. It is their job to make sure that the tax codes are being followed, okay? So make sure that you run it by a professional that you feel comfortable with, to make sure that before you answer this audit and get into all these interworkings, that you're being protected, represented, and understood, and that you have a full understanding of what you're doing. And that's in anything. Investigation. So in small businesses, especially during COVID, our most recent time I can think of, you'll get some things that are people make errors or scam. I remember during COVID, I got a letter from the employment agency saying that, hey, I had an employee that filed unemployment. And I was like, in the name, I was like, I never knew this person. Never knew him. So I investigated, got to the bottom of it. I didn't just pay it. And then once we went through it, they was like, okay, we're removing that. So a lot of times we get as business owners, we're busy baking our cookies, you know, and selling houses and you know, fixing hair. We don't really have time for the business stuff. So things are sitting in an envelope and then we open it. Oh my God, I owe this money, and we just pay it. Investigate to make sure that you truly owe that. Remember, your funds or your money, your hard-earned money that you could be putting into things for your family or for your own self, not to just be given away unjustly. Now, there are some cases where we truly do owe those things and you should take care of your obligations. So I'm not saying that, but then make sure that it truly is something that you and your business have incurred. All right, and closure, ticket closure, making sure that when you have an audit that you follow it through, that you got on the phone, someone promised you something before you get off the phone. Hey, could you fax or email me a copy of that? Can you give me your ID number? Like the phone number you called, the time, you know, write it down. Let me tell you something. You think they hard on personal people for taxes? They are notorious when it comes to businesses. So I don't want to scare you or put fear out in the atmosphere, but I am saying do your part. Documentation. Let me tell you, owning a small business is a wonderful thing. I love what I do. And most of the business owners I know love what they do. We do have to do the necessary things to take care of our business. It's just like a baby. You know, you got to do all these different things, but you're not going to throw it out because of some paperwork. So it's just one of those things we got to do. All right. So we're almost getting to the end where I'm going to go over the Q&A. I just kind of wanted to talk about some of the things that we have upcoming. I know that was a lot of information, and then there's more information. Like each one of those slides could easily be a class by itself. So it is a lot of information. But some upcoming classes we have is how money works. Our next one is going to be on December the 5th with my good friend Marlene here. She's going to be educating us on that workshop. So I'm looking forward to that. The tax year wrap up, well, that was today. Uh, you know, so, but if a person needs more information, you can schedule a consultation so I can help you one-on-one with that. Business plan, we will have a business plan. I usually do that in January, but I may do it at the end of December, depends. So just kind of follow the website. And in that business plan workshop, we talk about, hey, planning your business for the year. Or if you're new to business or thinking about a business, get a plan together. Get the plan together, and it will include financial planning. It also includes budgeting, marketing, estate planning, all the things that a business needs to run smoothly. It is in that class. And that class is no cost. Everything on here except for the tax business builder system, there is a cost for that class. And in that class, we teach you how to start your own tax firm. If you have a business and you want to add tax preparation services to it, that's the class for you. We have an estate planning class, that's no cost, and business credit 101, there's no cost for that as well. I'm going to show you how to register for those classes, just in case anybody, I don't know if it's going to work. Well, let me go back. Yes, my little button not clicking for me. Hold on. Let me do it this way. I'm going to go over, well, I'll save that because I want to get into some Q&A. All right. I am going to, in just a second, I am going to stop the recording, open it for Q&A, but I want to show you this video really quick. I want everyone to get your free copy for being on with me today of the Change Your Literacy, Change Your Life book, but I'm going to also show you what we do for small business owners as individuals. Because remember, fixing your business means not much if we don't fix the individual as well. And once we get through with watching this short video, I am going to open it up for Q&A, and I'll stop the recording and then we'll kind of talk. And then if we have enough time, I'll go back through the presentation and just kind of give a short review depending on how we're looking on time. So hang on real quick.
There's a revolution brewing, a financial literacy revolution. At the heart of this movement is a new book, Change Your Literacy, Change Your Life. This isn't just any ordinary book. It's the foundation of a groundbreaking shift in financial education.
Picture a future where everyone learns about money right from the start in school, just like reading and math. A world where no one ever says, I wish I'd learned this in school, because they know how money really works. That's what we're aiming for, and it starts with this book.
You can choose the format that's right for you. Want the full story? Dive into the entire ebook. Just want the highlights? We've got a short overview for you. And for those of you who say, just give me the bottom line, our TLDR version is for you. Because sometimes less is more, especially when you're in a hurry to get financially savvy.
And it doesn't stop there. The book is the first step in an educational system designed to empower people from all ages and walks of life. It lays the foundation and sets the stage for the How Money Works book series, a comprehensive exploration of personal finance topics.
This book series has had unprecedented media attention, being featured hundreds of times across various platforms. ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, and SiriusXM have all spotlighted it, recognizing the exceptional content. In addition, publications like CNBC, Newsweek, and the Wall Street Journal have also dedicated their pages to covering this information.
But it's not just about reading. We have additional resources like course slides and printable workbooks to bring this financial education to life. This makes it easier than ever for educators to incorporate financial literacy into their teaching methods and engage students in interactive learning experiences.
And once you engage with this content, we're ready to talk. We're here to answer questions and provide personalized guidance, ensuring that our students receive the support they need to achieve their financial goals.
And the revolution doesn't stop with individuals. We also have a vision for businesses and organizations to join in on this financial literacy movement. By implementing our educational resources and programs, companies can help their employees become financially educated and empowered.
Imagine a world where people have the confidence, knowledge, and skills to effectively manage their finances. In this world, they can make informed decisions about their money, leading to lower financial stress and increased productivity. It all starts with providing the resources and educational tools to enhance their financial understanding and decision-making abilities.
Join us in sharing this powerful video to help ignite a financial education revolution. Together, we can pave the way for a future where everyone has equal access to the knowledge and resources necessary for achieving financial success. Let's begin the journey to change your financial literacy and then change your life. Download our ebook now and take the first step to a brighter financial future.
All right. All right. So now I'm going to get into the Q&A section. Let me bring up my website just in case anybody want to know where to get that book. So if you go to my website, at the top, it's going to say the money books. You just click there and you can click, get one of the books, and it costs you nothing to get the book. This is the template where you find the different handouts and worksheets. You also find a video on the Corporate Transparency Act that I spoke about earlier, the full video of that, explaining that in detail. Some more videos and handouts you'll find here as well. And it just kind of goes. So there's different things that you can, and then at the bottom more master classes, some of the previous ones. Also, we talked about the BOI reporting that you have to do by January 31st. By December 31st, my correction, if you started your business before January of this year. And after January 1, you have 90 days to fill it out. So this is the video here. As soon as you go to templates on my website, this is the very first video you'll see. The how to from start to finish, also including that video that I did show you, that's on there as well, on how to get this filled out. Like I said, if you believe that you would rather pay someone to help you fill it out, by all means do so. Do what is confident for you. However, this is a step-by-step guide where you can do it yourself. And if, like I said, if you show some concern, feel free to reach out to me as well. All right. Also on here, this is how you register for the upcoming class that I mentioned that we're going to have on the 5th. And we also have one on the 10th and the 17th. You can schedule there. And as we add more classes, they will be, this is where you'll find it. We're going to have one on Business 101, Business Credit 101, marketing. And in the marketing, we talk about pricing, we talk about basic business setup. Some of the same information will be there, but we also talk about how to strategize your marketing to reach across social media, things that are not on social media, how to reach new clients, how to captivate and retain clients. So we kind of go through that entire deal, not just how to put together an ad, but how to service your clients and customers and how to keep them and how to translate that into money. So we do that as well in that class. And if you need, if you would like a complimentary session, it is here for you to select. Just press schedule here. And I look forward to working with you. So now at this time, I am going to right before I end it, make sure that everybody scan your copy or go to the website to get your free book. It's a free ebook, and if you would like a hard copy book, inquire on how to get that as well. So I'm gonna open it up for Q&A. I am going to stop the recording. So hang on a second. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you're watching the replay, I'm Candy Martin from martinbusinesssolutions.com. So let's get into our Q&A session. Let's see, stop share and stop recording somewhere. Just bear with me. Now I started it. I should be able to stop the recording. Oh, there we are.